Our next story, folks. You know, the need to forge an acceptable political culture devoid of any rancor cannot be overemphasized. In line with this, therefore, the House of Representatives has approved amendments to the Electoral Act that introduce stiffer penalties for vote buying and vote selling. It also raised the campaign spending limits for presidential and governorship candidates. A breakdown shows a minimum of 2 years imprisonment or a fine of 5 million naira or both, plus a 10-year disqualification from contesting elections for the offense of vote buying and selling. For campaign spending, a presidential candidate's limit is 10 billion naira from 5, 3 billion naira for governorship candidates, and senatorial candidates can now spend 500 million naira from 100 million. Dotu, again, my country is living in an interesting time.
Well, we've always said this as a political reporter. There was a time INEC had organized a conference for us. And one of the materials we were given was on campaign funding. And looking at that paper, what occurred to me was first to laugh and then ask the big question. How do you, with this paper that you are making available to political parties and candidates, monitor the spending? It's a bit difficult in our own climate. I don't know how we are going to overcome it. To say you are going to monitor
spending
campaign
pattern.
Funding. How do you monitor how much has been spent? Because even the things that ordinarily, like appointees, you are saying to them, go to the Code of Conduct Bureau to go and fill out a form specifying what you own as at the time you are getting into office. It's difficult to monitor. There was an interview that was granted recently by the chairman of the CCB saying they can't even try to reconcile what appointees submit and going to the field what they actually find for 10% of those who have been appointed. Can't even do 1%. So what do? They focus on the high profile. But do they even succeed? It's a no. Because you don't know how many things people are hiding here and there.
Yeah.
For instance, the campaign for 2027 has started. How do you monitor that from now? People are putting up billboards, distributing face caps, T-shirts, and those are part of the campaign.
Yeah.
Funding. Seriously, part of it. So how do you do it? How do you monitor the cost of going from one state to the other? Because it's still a part of it. The number of people you take, the hotels, the venue, the musicians, and all the rest. It's a bit tough. And that's why sometimes when I look at some of these things being debated in the legislature, I just feel it's good because we must establish certain parameters. But most of the time, it's just a waste of time.
Yeah.
So it's for us to begin to appeal to the conscience of our would-be office holders, not to spend so much, so that when they get into power,
the attempt to recoup
will be lower. Because that's where the problem is.
Yeah.
Imagine a presidential candidate having to go to the 36 states, flying with his crew. Some people are driving. You have to put them in hotels. Sometimes they spend 2 nights, 3 nights. All of those form part of the
bills
that we are talking about. And at the end of the day, nobody wants to go and put in 10 billion just to be president. It's a bit tough.
All right.
But INEC must be seen to be doing something.
Yeah.
We must reduce our expectations from political parties and politicians.
Okay.
We must, seriously. Otherwise, the bills will keep going up and we will not be able to get anything.
Thank you, Doctor, for your opener. Biko, I'm concerned with the lesser one. Let's start from the bottom. I'm waiting to hear that so and so person has been taken to court for being an electoral offender.
Yeah, the people get taken to court, but the deluge of cases that the electoral body has to deal with is a problem. I know that post-2023 election, some lawyers offered to represent the INEC for free because INEC simply cannot pay
the bills.
The bills, yeah.
It's not possible because there are so many people arrested across the states, and you need lawyers. You know, you need to also enter appearance. You know, so lawyers agreed to. Many lawyers agreed to handle
pro bono
those cases pro bono because, and it's one of the reasons people are even asking for special courts to try electoral offenses because we face a deluge of electoral offenses every electoral cycle. It's a big problem. Now, what the House of Reps have done is to introduce stiffer penalties for vote buying and selling, including a minimum of 2 years imprisonment or a fine of 5 million or both.
Yeah.
Alongside a 10-year ban from contesting election. I think that the punishment should be stiffer. Yeah. But you can understand, these politicians are the ones who use these vote buyers. In fact, in today's politics in our country, if you are not prepared to buy votes or give people money on the eve of an election, you are going to lose the election. Every party, sometimes, look at Osun election, because it came ahead of Salah, for example.
All right.
People, in some cases, were given rams, cows, and they do these things ahead of the election. But it's vote buying all the same. It's a way of getting the voter to vote for you.
Inducing.
They get people to go knock on people's doors.
All right.
And they slip money into people's hands. Again,
door to door,
ahead of the election. So the thing is now a very complex scenario. You first pay money to people, like 48 hours to the election. On election day, you also get people to put money. There is no election in which we don't see, no matter how popular that candidate is, you will see people still giving just to be doubly sure that the opponent will not outspend them.
That's it.
People who win election these days, many times, are people who outspend their opponents. So, for me, the way to defeat that is not to even leave an option of fine. Why don't you say, okay, vote buying, you get 5 years in prison without an option of fine? That will make people think twice. But if you come up with a law that amounts to a slap on the wrist, people will not give it up. This fine, 5 million. What is 5 million to politicians who sit on billions of naira? Once their boys are caught, they will be pushing, they will be harassing the IG that they should send those people to Abuja. It is from Abuja that they will be released. A lot of people who commit crimes Once they ask them to be sent to Abuja, that's the last you hear, including even terrorists. That's the last time that you hear about that matter. So for me, yes, I'm happy that they come up with tougher sanctions, but I even expect the sanctions to be stiffer. They're saying under amended clause 22, A and C, individuals involved in the buying or selling of votes and voter cards now face significantly tougher sanctions than previously provided, where penalties were capped at 500,000 naira or a minimum of 2 years imprisonment. To curb electoral fraud, lawmakers increased penalties for multiple voter registration. I don't even understand how people are still doing multiple voter registration, because the
register.
The beavers, which is the electronic accreditation module, because it's your biometrics. So in those days, they used to do it and they got away with it. But it's not even easy to do. Why are people still getting involved in multiple voter registration? Some will register here and still go to Abuja and register. You cannot do that. You can't do that.
Okay, please, we have company. Brother Rafiu is joining us from Lagos here. I greet you. Good afternoon. Rafiu, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
Please let the people discussing there. Tell them that
You are telling them. Go on.
Donald Trump was giving them money envelopes in USA before his election.
Yeah, let's talk about Nigeria.
That's what BK just said.
Let me just round up. They said the House also approved a 10-year jail term or a fine of 75 million for anyone found guilty of forging nomination papers or result forms or destroying election-related documents. You know, even the Labour Party, they've accused their leadership of forging signatures.
Which is
forging
an offense
nomination
in itself.
Of course, it's a case of, okay, you have won the primaries.
Okay.
Before submitting to INEC, I now put another person's name and then went ahead to forge signatures as well. There are many things that these people do ahead of the elections. They want to smuggle names of people who did not take part in primaries, and to do that, you need to forge the signature of the person. So these things happen, forging signature papers, even cloning result sheets.
Yeah.
They clone result sheets. And once they clone results and they fill their own fake results, they will now swap what they've cloned. INEC has been trying its best to make it difficult to clone its ballot materials. INEC has been trying its best. They put all kinds of features to make life difficult for the person who is intent on cloning. But Nigerians are still cloning ballot materials. As we speak, they are still cloning ballot materials. So we need our laws to make it difficult for people to get away with this kind of crimes. That will help us sanitize the electoral process. People should be able to go and vote in elections and not fear that the outcome has been decided.
That's it, yeah.
Because those who are procuring, what's it called? From EC8A, the result sheets, those who are procuring it, is because they want to rig.
And do you see members of the House who are principal partners in this business making this law you are talking about?
No, they are interested.
They're interested parties.
We are saying that yes, they've even tried. They've done well to make the punishment stiffer. But we are saying the punishment should have been stiffer than this,
Than what-
especially vote buying. You can see like the issue of forging election-related documents.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
10 million
yes,
and
fine of 75 million.
75
That's
million.
significant. That would be
Yeah.
a big deterrent.
Yeah.
You know, or a 10-year jail term.
Okay.
What I'm saying is the one that is most prevalent is vote
Vote
buying,
buying.
direct vote buying, and that's where they've gone to do what I call the slap in the wrist. If you had the good conscience to come up with 10-year jail term or a fine of 75 million, why didn't you do something similar in terms of vote buying? Vote buying is the most rampant electoral fraud that happens in our country now. And the Electoral Act is against it. People do not grab ballot materials like before. They don't snatch ballot boxes anymore.
No point
Because
doing
it's
that.
a waste of time.
Yeah, okay.
But they now buy people's conscience. They are weaponizing poverty. They buy people's conscience on election day, and it's a grave crime. But the punishment for it, because nearly everybody who is a politician is involved in it, you can see that the punishment is a slap in the wrist.
Yeah.
And we are saying that is the one that should even be
Attract,
the stiffest of all,
more-
because that is
more.
the most prominent of
That's
the
it.
electoral fraud that we see in our country.
Okay, let the debate, let it continue from in your part of town. But let's take on our next story. You know, political alignment